Welcome to the 1 to 9 podcast for interesting insights and knowledge from animals and other beings within multidimensional realms. Hello, this is Karina and
Diana.
We're back with another exciting podcast from the Pig Collective.
Yes, and what is today's theme going to be?
Well, today I'd like to ask the pigs a couple of questions.
Okay.
First of all, do they like the fact that we called this podcast the Pig Collective?
Oh, yes, definitely, because that's how they presented themselves. That's how they called themselves. They called themselves the Pig Collective, right? And so they're very excited that the podcast, even though they realize there will be other characters in there and other topics besides themselves, you know, they're not egomaniacs. They're very glad that the whole podcast will be called the Pig Collective because it highlights their contribution.
And they were the first collective that presented themselves to you.
Yes,
from the animal kingdom.
That's right. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, they wanted to preserve their lives.
Oh,
collectively.
They wanted to preserve their lives collectively?
Yes. They wanted me to stop eating them. And, you know, you've told me about other friends of yours where the pigs were talking to them, don't eat me, don't eat me. So one day they started talking to me and they said, don't eat me. But there's a lot of them. There's a big field of these pigs now in my head.
Describe the field, or describe how many pigs, like thousands?
No, maybe not. Hundreds of pigs. It's a big grassy field, and they're not packed tightly shoulder to shoulder. Sometimes they're kind of like alert and looking at me. But most of the time, they're kind of like just ambling around, poking at the dirt, looking for things to eat. They're always hungry.
They're always hungry.
Yeah.
So what are they assembling for? What is the collective presenting themselves to you for? And if it's only to ask you not to eat them, I need to know more information than that, because it seems like a lot of animals, and pigs would be one of them, were kind of a divine bestowance upon humans to eat at one time. And there's got to be a reason why they're asking certain peoples not to eat them versus other peoples.
Yeah, you think they have an answer for this?
Well, I'm asking the question. I would like an answer.
I'm not sure that they know themselves, you know? It's like, okay, I'm going to ask them the question. Sometimes they just feel called upon to ask certain peoples not to eat them. And perhaps they do this to people that they know, or they're, almost certain that who will comply with their demands, meaning who won't eat them.
But I would think such a request would help these people in some way.
Oh, the people who decide not to eat pigs anymore.
Right.
Oh, yes, definitely. Okay, I know for myself, right? Just because I made the decision one day not to eat pigs anymore.
Only because you were asked, by the way.
Yes, I was asked, and I decided to say, yes, I'm not going to eat you anymore. But it's not anything that's like a decision made and then you go on from there. It's like every couple of days you have to make that same decision. Like if you're an addict, right? Or if you're a smoker or whatever, or an alcoholic, right? It's like every day you have to decide, okay, I'm not going to be taking a drink. But it's not like every day I have to decide, okay, I'm not going to be eating any pork because I never used to eat pork every day. But every couple of days, I have to say, okay, I'm not going to eat, because my husband buys a lot of sausage, and most of it's pork sausage. And so pork is always around in my house. I have.
But has there been any benefit to you? Does it change the way you feel? Does it make your communications with animals stronger? Does it just make you have a lot more friends that are pigs? I mean,
I don't know. All I can say is, I'm talking about sort of like every couple of days making a decision not to eat pork. If I were to one day say, okay, today I'm going to eat some bacon, right? I'd be feeling like I'm going backwards. And that's all I can say to describe that.
Energetically, consciously.
Going backwards, like, I don't know how else to describe it.
No, I think that describes it pretty well. It's just that I think maybe even contracting, that would be, for me, a word that I would describe. If I was eating pig, I would be contracting versus expanding. That's a sensation that I often associate with certain foods. They're restrictive, sort of, they constrict me versus expand me energetically.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay.
But it's been so long since I've eaten pork that I don't really know that answer to that. I don't make the decision I don't remake the decision to not eat pork too often, although it's, of course, going to be served Thursday. We've got Thanksgiving coming up.
Well, a lot of people serve ham. Right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, but for me, it was, for other meats, it was an electrical charge that was not congruent with me. Felt like my finger was in a light socket when I was eating certain meats, and so when I quit, my body didn't feel like that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But with pigs, it felt like they're, like they were a higher being, and it wasn't appropriate to eat them anymore.
Okay, when you say higher, I make the equation sort of like more intelligent, right? But that's not necessarily true, right?
Well, more intelligent than what is the question? And
well, other species of animals.
It might not have been that they were more intelligent. We all know that pigs are intelligent, but it might have been that there was a one of two things could have happened. There could have been too much damage done to the pig collective by the way pigs are raised, and so their sorrow or their grief was the low vibrating energy that I wasn't to eat anymore. And I don't believe that the way pigs collectively have been raised has changed much. And so it was a lower vibrating energy, but the higher sentient level of pigs was not, they were not happy as a huge collective anymore. They were taking on too much trauma. And that was what I was eating, was the trauma. And that was part of it. But also there was a higher, I wouldn't say higher is probably not the right word, but it was a closer proximity to humanity. So eating pigs was too close to humans.
There's lots of cultures that actually are cannibals,
They
not
are,
lots. Some cultures still that are cannibals.
right. And I don't really, there was, two different aspects. One was the collective nature of the pigs was too much grief or trauma or sorrow, and the proximity in their DNA or their sentientness or whatever it was of how close they were to humans was like close to cannibalism, which apparently is just not something I need to be doing personally. I mean, I don't know if other people need to be doing it, but it's certainly not me.
Well, I'm just reminded of I can't remember who actually wrote this book. Maybe it was Amy Tan, but it was something about Chinese culture, not present day Chinese culture, but not that long ago, where when somebody was like ill, another person in the household would actually sort of take some meat off, cut some meat off of their arm or a portion of their other limbs, right, and cook it up into this soup for the sick person.
And it would heal them?
Apparently. But if you think about it, okay, I mean, this person had to be healthy too. You're not going to be making soup from a
It's kind of hard to understand exactly where it was used because we don't know, but the healthy person was obviously sick or they wouldn't have been cutting it apart to heal it.
The healthy person would be cutting their own flesh.
Oh, the healthy person cut their own flesh.
Right, okay. So, I mean, it's kind of like native peoples everywhere, I mean, who are eating basically animals for the properties that they have, you know? Which brings me to something else. Another animal, which is on my periphery. Chickens. Okay? Now, it's not a whole bunch of chickens. It's just some chickens. And they're not saying, eat me. They're not saying, don't eat me. It's like, okay, you can eat us if you want. If you want to become fiercer.
Interesting.
So it's like, and I'm thinking they're saying this because perhaps if you eat some chicken meat, you'll get some of those properties. Like you'll become fiercer, which sounds kind of really weird.
It does, but since we're on this subject, what about turkeys? What would they offer us if we eat them on Thanksgiving? Do they have something?
No, I've kind of like wondered about this, and no turkeys have appeared to me saying anything about whether or not we should eat them or not.
Well, I'll take that as a no comment.
Yeah, no comment. Exactly. So,
what about, I mean, this is kind of switching gears here, but what about, go ahead.
Yeah, okay, I was going to ask you something about how you use collective. Because I think the concept of sort of like the whole collective of globally of pigs and the trauma that they've undergone, right? And it certainly lives on in generations. It goes from generation to generation. But the pig collective in the podcast here is basically just this field of pigs.
Oh, a very specific field of pigs.
Yes, right. And they're happy. They're happy because nobody's eating them.
So is this a field of pigs that represent all the pigs that people have stopped eating?
Possibly. Because if people were eating them, they wouldn't be there.
I don't know, because they're in your field of vision. They're not in...
Well, they're not ghost pigs.
They're not ghost pigs.
Yeah, no, they're not ghost pigs.
Yeah.
They're just multi-dimensional pigs.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder about eating multi-dimensional pigs. because they asked you to not eat a earthly pig versus a multidimensional pig.
Oh my gosh, they're going like, they're gasping in horror.
I didn't mean anything bad by that question.
No, they're starting to run away now too.
Oh no! Oh no!
Okay, don't worry. It's like nobody can eat you. Or
Well,
maybe
I'm
they
not
can.
gonna,
Maybe they can.
I'm not going to eat them.
Maybe other multidimensional beings can actually eat and be eaten. Well, why not?
I have no idea. I've never thought about projecting those very physical attributes to multidimensional beings.
Okay, but the pigs I see, they're multidimensional.
Mm-hmm.
Yet they're still eating. Why would they be eating?
Ask them. You're asking me.
They like to eat, you know. They have nothing else to do.
So, their happiness by having all these multidimensional pigs, they're not being eaten, and they're not, and they're happy. They're kind of joyous. Are they helping us humans be happier by them being happy?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So is that kind of their primary job, is to just be happy and then help us be happy?
Okay, I can only speak from my own experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
But not eating pigs, so they put me on a higher, I don't know, energy or whatever, because if I was eating them, I'd be going backwards. Therefore, if I don't eat them, I go forward.
Mm-hmm.
And what exactly does that mean, going forward?
Does it mean expanding your consciousness? Something like that?
That's all I can figure, yeah.
Being able to talk to more animals?
Oh, yeah, right. Mm-hmm, that's true.
Stuff like that?
Yes.
And would that happen to other people that stopped eating pig?
Could be. Yeah.
Could be.
Quite possibly.
What do the pigs say?
Oh, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, so if they stop eating pigs, it opens up their capacity for multidimensional communications with at least other animals.
Right.
And maybe other beings.
Right. Yeah. And you found that to be true, right?
I did, and so did another friend of mine who started doing some of this work, and she called me up and said the pigs have talked to me now. And they've asked me not to eat them anymore. But she doesn't really listen all the time.
Oh, okay.
But she's not really as dedicated to the work as you are. Just, personal preference. All right. So now I have the answer to the question that I asked.
Well, what's the question?
Well, the question in the beginning is, what was the point of asking them not to eat them? And I think that we've come full circle in that the point was, as far as you could tell, was it gave you the opportunity to have more multidimensional capacities to communicate with other beings, animals and other beings. It freed up some energy for that work.
Right. Yes, that makes sense.
That's the point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yay! I hope answering all these questions with the Pig Collective doesn't take this long. No, I'm just kidding. I'm happy to have that answer because I think it's a very simple answer, but it was one I was looking for to come right from them. Not just be something that I picked up on or felt. Because
right.
you get very clear words. I get knowings. You get very clear communications. So it's more fun when you get really clear communications.
And, I mean, how else can they work to spread their message? Basically, they're just going to be contacting individuals saying, don't eat me.
Well, we've started a podcast called The Pig Collective. I should think that they could use that as
a forum.
As a forum to speak their messages of how when you don't eat a pig, you free one up for being part of this collective that is happy. And that happiness helps all of us be happier. And that it gives you the potential to open up multidimensional channels within yourself.
Yeah. No, they're thinking of ways to actually use this.
Use the forum.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. Awesome. That's fantastic. So, do they have anything else they want to say right now, or should we conclude this?
Well, okay. They just want to say thank you.
Aw. That makes me happy.
And they're waving by.
All right. That's all for this episode of the 1 to 9 podcast. Thank you for listening, and please sign up for our newsletter at 1to9podcast.com.